All right, so you see these two mannequin heads right here, and today we're talking about the difference between thick hair and fine hair, right? So the biggest difference really is, the texture itself, the density, how it feels on your hair. Excuse me, please, I'm trying to do a video over here. And the difference really is the density, how it feels on your head, right? How easy is it to style? And I get a lot of people asking me about the differences between, the two, which one is better, and that's what we're talking about today. So let's start with fine hair first, and I think you'll all find this very, very interesting. So fine hair does not necessarily mean that you are, balding. It means that the hair strand itself, each individual strand, is very, very fine. Okay? Or it's thin, in other words, but it's not as coarse and as dense. Sometimes the hair is so fine, it's so fragile that you just pull it and it breaks and snaps. So you can have a ton of fine hair, right? You can have so much hair on your head. It just happens to be that each individual strand is on the finer side, right? Here is another really, really good example, okay? This mannequin right here, and you can really actually see up close, you can see the scalp, okay? This hair is extremely, extremely fine, okay? It's so fine and so fragile, and there's a lot of it. So clearly you could see the scalp a bit more than usual, but it doesn't mean that, you're losing your hair or going bald or anything, okay? It just means that your hair is a little bit on the finer side or thinner side. Okay, so there's another example of that. Here we have a mannequin head that you may have seen before, but a very popular type of look. This happens to be, again, on the finer side. Each individual strand of hair does not have a lot of density. It's like really, look, I just pulled a piece right off, okay? But it looks super thick because, again, there's so much hair. And I think you understand really where I'm going with this, is that you can have a ton of fine or thin hair. Another perfect example. Now, when it comes down to having thick hair, right, you can have a lot of very, very thick, coarse hair like this mannequin. I mean, this thing has so much hair. It's so super, super coarse, super, super thick. And, clearly each individual strand is thicker. You're going to see a lot more volume. You're going to see a lot more density. You're never going to look at something like this and say, am I losing my hair? Okay? There's just a ton of it, and I'm sure a lot of you have hair, similar to this. And then, like I showed you before, in the previous example with this mannequin, this is another one that has a ton of hair, right? Very, very coarse, very, very thick hair, and, clearly there's a difference, all right? So if we were to take these two side by side, you may think, oh yeah, the hair looks, they both have a lot of hair. But what makes fine hair, easier or different than super thick hair? So when it comes to super thick hair, one, you're gonna feel like you have a lot more hair on your head. So you may feel like you need a haircut more often. You may sweat more, okay, on your head, because on your scalp, because you've got more hair. There's more density to it. Each hair strand is a lot thicker, okay, and you've got so much more hair that there's just that much more on your head. It's like wearing, instead of like a tank top or a t-shirt, now you've got a t-shirt with a sweater, okay? That's typically how it feels. Also, when it comes to drying your hair on, thicker hair types, it takes a lot longer to dry your hair. Sometimes it takes, having to use more and more product when it comes even to shampoo, conditioner, styling products, right? It's just gonna get a little more unkempt, a little easier, right? If it's unkept, it can look a little messy. It could look out of control. You may feel like, again, you may want a haircut a lot more often. The benefits of it is you have a glorious head of nice thick hair, right? It looks phenomenal, okay? Who doesn't want hair like this? So you've got, some benefits that you're able to wear a few more styles. If your hair was very, very fine, right, and you didn't have a lot of density, you would not be able to get this volume or this density from that, okay? So you're able to get more volume in your hair. You're able to really accentuate certain hairstyles because the hair is so much thicker. It's gonna look a lot different and it may look a little bit better, okay? But keep in mind, having all this hair, it's not designed to really wear certain hairstyles as well. Like, this one right here, it's great for spiking. It's great for adding texture. You can do a lot with this hair because you can texturize it so much and still have a lot of hair left and just kind of tweak it, shape it, use really, awesome products. You can really go to town on having short hair that's very, very thick. All right, now also when it comes to comparing this to finer hair, all right, like we were looking at before, like this, you're actually able to get more of a flow like this, all right? The hair is gonna actually be able to maneuver a bit better when it's on the finer side. You're also able to use products like a powder, a lot of clays and things, sea salt sprays that are gonna give the hair a lot of amazing texture without it feeling super, super heavy. Okay, so I tend to like the finer hair texture a little bit more for certain styles like this, right? If your hair was super, super thick, you may have a hard time trying to get some volume and some texture in it because it's so heavy that the hair is always gonna drop flat no matter what you do, okay? So having the hair a little bit finer, believe it or not, you're able to manipulate and maneuver the hair more than you would probably think, okay? I know sometimes you're like, oh, my hair's so flat, it's so thin, I can't do anything with it. You'd be surprised by using the right products, the right techniques, how much you can do with your hair, okay? Also, it doesn't feel like you have so much hair on your head. Again, it doesn't mean that you're losing your hair or you're going bald. It just allows you to have a more free-flowing type of hairstyle, right? You can flip the hair like this, right? You can sweep it over very, very easily without it just immediately falling down into your face. If the hair was super thick and super, super heavy and dense, what's gonna happen, it may end up looking like you've got a mushroom on your head, right? It may look like you've just got too much hair for that style. It's gonna poof out a lot. With the finer hair types like this, you're not gonna get those issues. So, again, there's some pros and cons to both, right? Obviously, there's pros and cons to both. Let me know what your hair type is. Let me know, what are you doing with your hair? If you found this video helpful, and I'd love to hear from you. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.